Hi guys, it's DK Daniels back again here for another night while we read Chasing Christmas. I have a few announcements to make, but I'll just get all the usual crap out of the way first. I'm DK Daniels. I'm a YA LGBTQ fiction author. Um, right now, we're reading my book Chasing Christmas, which we've been doing for the last 10 days, and we've made it up to chapter 12. Tonight we'll probably end up pushing through two chapters because they're relatively small. But yeah, anyway, we've been reading my book Chasing Christmas, and it's been going fairly well. We've had good turnouts, and I'm glad for the folks who have continually come back. And yeah, so we're making a good go at it. Um, so I'll get onto a bit of a recap now in a second, but first I just want to mention about my mailing list. If you haven't actually known or knew about it, for the last couple of evenings I've been mentioning that I'm giving away 3 signed copies of Chasing Christmas, and that is still happening, of course. I'm just here to mention that anybody who signs up to my mailing list from now on is not included in this giveaway. I'm giving away 3 signed copies of Chasing Christmas, and only people who are on my mailing list have been entered into this raffle or lottery. And I've already reached out to the winners. So I'm sorry about that if you didn't, um, you know, if you missed it and whatnot. But there will be other times. So, I mean, don't be, too sad. I have some other good news which I'll share with you in a bit, but these books will be all going out tomorrow when I get, information and stuff back from the winners. But yeah, so the official entry for this now is closed, but you can still sign up to my mailing list, and I'll tell you why in a couple of minutes. But anyway, um, first I'll just get the whole shabacle kind of thing done out of the way. So we've currently been reading. Sorry, just one second. Just move this down. Okay, so we've currently been reading Chasing Christmas, chapter 11, I think it was. Give me a second now. Yeah, chapter 11. So in the last chapter, the boys had sat down and grabbed something to eat in the local pizza diner, and they all got, toppings on their on the pizza, and they all kind of, I suppose you could say, they sacrificed the full pizza for a couple of slices with to make everybody happy. But yeah, and they just talked in general about games, movies, and life. And that was until Elijah was made uncomfortable from a topic that was brought up, and he left the table kind of a bit downhearted. So, in the upcoming chapter, which is going to be 2 chapters now because it's going to be quite short, 2 short chapters. Noah goes in search for Elijah, and he finds that he's been secretly crying. And the two boys get to talking, and Noah finds out for himself that Elijah is really gay, and what they had been saying at the table was inherently true. And so, with this knowledge, Noah tries to cheer Elijah up and that they'd go back to the restaurant and play darts. However, while this moment is sweet and endearing, Noah catches sight of the 2 older boys who had chased them to Jack's house earlier on. So we get to see Jesse Tillman again. So you can see where this is all kind of going. But yeah, Noah catches sight of them, and not wanting, you know, Elijah to see them, he asks Elijah to covertly stand up and walk back to the group without panicking. And eventually, when the boys make it back to the group, they quickly learn about the older boys, and soon the entire situation in the diner escalates. And then there's fighting, and then the boys are running for their life once more. Only this time, the bullies take one of their own as hostage, one of the boys in Noah's group as a hostage. And yeah, so everything kind of just spirals out of control after that. So yeah, um but anyway, I have a few other announcements, so um we'll kill some time while I'm talking about it. So where was I going to start now with this? Yeah, the other thing about my mailing list, I'll start with that first. the great news is if you're on my mailing list, you will sometime closer to Christmas, probably the 23rd, 24th of December, you will receive a free downloadable short story called "It Would Be You." I had to think for a second. It's a gay short story. It's only for my readers who are on my mailing list and also on Patreon, and they are the only two places that it's going to be posted on. Um, so it'll be available only in those two places, and it won't be anywhere else. So all you have to do is sign up to my mailing list if you want to read the short story. It's about a gay single father who is overcoming the death of his husband, and he meets this really, really cute doctor. And of course, it's going to have a happy ending, and because it's Christmas, it has to have a happy ending. But yeah, I'm really excited about this short story, and yeah, it's going to be a great one. I can feel it. But yeah, all you have to do is be signed up to my mailing list, and you'll automatically receive it once you sign up. And if you're already a member on my mailing list, you'll automatically get an email from me when it goes live with a downloadable link or whatever. But yeah, okay, so that's that. That's the good news. I also have other great news as well. If you've been reading How I Live Now, the book is officially finished. I'm really happy how the book turned out. It still has a little bit of ways to go. The story still needs a couple of rounds of editing, but I'm pushing to have it finished and out the door on like the likes of Amazon and Google and whatnot by late January, early February. So it'll be around the same time as They Say is coming out as well. So I'm releasing two big books very close to each other. So that's going to be a bit of pressure. But yeah, the entire book is completely finished. I've recently updated all the chapters on like Gay Authors, Corner Calf, Nifty. Not Nifty, I don't have it on Nifty, but all the other websites that I have been frequenting with that story has been updated. But the epilogue is available on Patreon. It's the only platform at the moment that has the complete story. And next week, the rest of the story will be up on all of the other platforms. But yeah, if you've been enjoying that story, just know you can grab a copy over there. Well, you can read the entire book on Patreon, and you can also read other stuff that's there. You can read everything in full. But yeah. But yeah, sorry, just one second. I just need to close something down. But yeah, so it's great to get that finished. Hey, Ethan, how are you doing? It's nice to have you back today. But yeah, I'm really excited to share that. So yeah, so that's the good news. So I also have some other news as well, but it's particularly directed to one person more so than anything else. But my boyfriend is actually here. He's not here with me in the room. He's actually in my office, and he's shy. And I just thought it'd be nice for him to say hello because he left his Rolos in the bedroom, and he really loves Rolos because, I'm going to eat all the Rolos on my own if he doesn't come in and say hello, because I'm really that evil. Because he's very shy, so we gotta try break him out of that bubble of shyness. Because if I am shy, then he can surely come in and say hello. Because I'm definitely an introvert. He's definitely more of an extrovert, I'll tell you that much. But he's definitely not coming, so I guess I've got to go to him. So we'll wait for a few minutes. But anyway, so there's that. He's making me look like an asshole. But yeah. So as I said, now we'll be reading chapters 12 and 13 coming up now in the book. So we'll be starting on 236. I mean, the story has really went by fast. I didn't think we'd actually get through it this fast. I think we're gonna finish well before the story. Hello, honey.
Hello.
Hello. He's here.
I should have known this is going to happen.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
You got to get him over his shyness.
Hello.
Hello. Is this what you're looking for?
Yes, thank you. Can I go out? Can I go now?
Yeah, go on.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't let my Rolos go.
Yeah. It took you a minute there, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, we got to try break him out of the shyness, of course, because he's very shy. But anyway, that's made my day. But yeah, anyway, we'll make a start on the book. It just feels weird that he's actively watching my live stream in the next room and I'm in here just talking away to a camera, but okay. But anyway, so we'll make a start at it, and then we'll see how we go. Just actually out of curiosity, what do you guys think of the characters? What's your favorite character so far? I've been thinking for a while of maybe doing a short story or something like that. And who would you be most likely to hear a short story about? I don't know. I've always liked of maybe telling a short story about Lucas. Lucas is kind of an amusing character, so I always pictured myself writing a short story of him back up in like the likes of New York, or you know. But yeah, do let me know if you have an interest in a short story and who your favorite character is out of the book so far. But okay, I'll start. I'll start chapter 12. So chapter 12 is on page 236. And yeah, so we'll make a start at this. Something in my stomach felt a little weary. It felt awesome at the same time as I felt fearful. What was I even thinking? Here I am going to the bathroom to see if Elijah is okay and an adorably cute boy I have a crush on. Putting both hands out in front of me, I pressed on the smooth surface of the door, which creaked as the hinges opened. Cracking the inner door open a tad, I slipped in through the small gap. Elijah, I called out. My voice ricocheted off the walls and came back to me, reminding me that the bathroom was extremely hollow. I remember a while back that Jack and I had been in here before, and the two of us started singing for some odd reason that I cannot remember why. That's funny, to have such a thought come back at such a moment. I made my way past the sink bank into the brooding, dimmed bathroom. I called out yet again. Elijah, you in there? Still no response. Just the plinking from one of the faucets over by the sinks. Treading carefully toward the cubicles, I casually glanced from the cubicles to the urinals. Crouching down a slight bit to see if I could notice any feet under the doors, I peeked under. No, I didn't go right up to the door. That would be awkward if someone was intentionally actually in there, and I was looking under the door. I've never actually done this before, but for some reason, I'm inclined to do it now. I slowly made my way from one cubicle to another, and none of them had Elijah. Thinking that he might be up on top of the toilet, I called out again, Elijah, it's me. You in there? Still nothing. I shoved in the cubicle doors to make sure, but nobody was in any of the stalls. Feeling a little sad and worried at the same time, I glanced at myself in the mirror, making sure that my appearance was okay. And with that, I left the bathroom. Standing outside the door, I looked over at the boys in the boot who had somehow moved on to another topic. They're all conversing for the most part. Contemplating, I try to envision where Elijah would go, or more importantly, where would I go if someone upset me? Yet, at the same time, I need to remain close to the group. The first place that came to mind was one of the seats out in the mall. Therefore, I slowly left the dead restaurant and made my way out into the mall. The mall had somewhat quietened down since we arrived, and it was quite evident that people were starting to go home and settle down for Christmas. All that is really playing now is the joyful Christmas music in the background, which somehow feels out of place. Maybe it's my mood at the moment, and perhaps it's because I'm not feeling that Christmas spirit right now. Then again, from the way the music is playing, it almost feels as if a horror movie is being filmed. Yeah, that's it, a horror movie. I can imagine me just standing here shouting, "Hello, is anybody out there?" while somewhere out there is a crazy, psycho killer. I shift my attention to the right. No sign of Elijah. Tilting to the left, I saw him, sitting there timidly on a bench about 4 or 5 shops up. Elijah sat hunched over with his arms pressed against his knees, presumably contemplating. With my heart beating faster in my chest, I drove toward him, pumping my 2 fists down with anticipation, trying helplessly to pump myself up, to give me courage. I'm going to talk to him. Alone, 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 my brain chanted. I am determined to make Elijah feel a little better about himself. Oh God, what does he think of me? Does Elijah think I'm a freak? Will he think I'm odd? Yes, that statement itself is correct without further thought. I've always been considered a little weird. Finally, reaching him, I stood nervously, waiting for his direction. Elijah just perched there. He didn't even look up at me. Nothing about it made me feel sad. Something about it made me feel sad. Not sure what to do, I nervously blurted out. Jack says sorry. Not even as much as a shrug, or a flinch, or a sigh. Elijah just kept his attention drawn to the ground around his shoes. I swear to God, the music that is playing in the background is starting to get creepy. I wish they'd just turn the fucking thing off already. It's the fourth time I've heard that song in. It's the fourth time I've heard the song in one particular location. Yes, we all know it's the most wonderful time of the year. I don't need to be reminded every 10 minutes of the whole process only to repeat again. I feel a little awkward, like I'm out of place, and in doing so, I thought the best course of action was to sit down. Peeping around nervously, not sure how I should start the conversation or if I should have a discussion, the thought of him being gay resonated. If I am gay, which I consider is most likely, and he is gay, then maybe Elijah wants to be reassured that it is okay to be gay. Even though I am not theoretically out or anything, I can be the stand-up citizen here. I don't have to have expertise with this sort of thing, but if I accept him and make Elijah feel better, if I let Elijah know that I don't care that he is gay and that I am here for him, then Elijah can be there for me. But would such a topic make Elijah feel even more nervous than he actually needs to be? Then again, would it be awkward for me to come out to him with such a thing? Maybe I should leave, but then still this could be my opening. Thinking about how I could brace such a subject, I feel my stomach begin to churn at the prospect. What if I accidentally out myself? That little voice in the back of my head assured me that the possibility of that actually happening is slim to none. Trying to force some sort of a question or a response, just anything, out of my mouth, I began to seize up. Think, God damn it, I scolded myself. Slumping from part embarrassment and terror, the word slipped out of my mouth like vomit that I wasn't expecting. It's okay if you are, I trailed off. I cut myself off before I did any more damage, but then he swiveled his head toward me and looked up at me. A tiny inside voice told me, just keep going. Don't stop now. He's actually looking at me. Even if it is a quizzical expression, Elijah is still looking at me. If you are it, I nervously shattered. I don't think I can go on deciding to change the conversation all of a sudden. I quickly thought of the dartboard back in the restaurant. I guess you can imagine that of all the times I could be smooth, I did not make a smooth transition. How about we go back in and play darts? I murmured. Elijah didn't say anything. He just stared. Furthermore, it made me feel even more anxious than I did before I sat down. Did I say the wrong thing? Did I make a major fuck up in the communication? I should have just kept on saying that it's cool to be gay. I wish I could give myself this pep talk. I'm sorry for making you feel all weird about it. It's not my intention, though at least Elijah's head isn't directed at the ground. I did that. I got Elijah to look up at me. Sure, he's not smiling, but it's a start, right? I don't know why, but the music is starting to get to me. The tune is so catchy, yet so annoying at the same time. Subconsciously humming a couple of the notes from the song, I glanced over and around the mall for a couple of seconds. I contemplated what to say back to Elijah. He was actually smirking. What is this sound? What is this sound? And am I doing that? And then I realized I'm humming. Immediately, cutting it out, I flushed with embarrassment, presumably from Elijah's point of view, possibly turning red. I glanced away from Elijah and looked around for a moment. Secretly peeking back, I trailed my eyes upward until we both locked eyes. You're welcome for your Rolos, honey. Where was it? Okay, so then there was something in his eyes, a twinkle. It's ludicrous even to think how can I see a twinkle inside his eye, except it makes Elijah look incredibly cute. I don't know why, but his eyes are just gooey to me. Well, that's the way it makes me respond. Gooey. At the same time, it's like all colourful and beautiful and bright, like gumdrops and candy everywhere. Just like the expansion pack from The Sims 3. What was the name of it? Katy Perry Sweet Treats or something. Exactly like that. The front cover of that is candy. That's the feeling I have. It's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory kind of colourful. Is he somehow smiling at me? I suppose Elijah is grinning, or does he think I'm a complete idiot? If it's making him laugh, then I guess I can keep doing it. Even if it tarnishes my reputation. Listening carefully to the words of the music, I tried to pick up the music. Just when he starts to smile, why does the song have to be in the particular place that I have no clue what the words are? Feeling apprehensive and annoyed, I listened carefully because somehow I knew that the chorus of the song is coming. Pondering whatever the words are, I sang out when the chorus began. After singing a couple of chords, I felt a little bit silly for even trying, and I grinned bashfully at him, but Elijah beamed back. It's not an overly large smile, it's just a thank you for trying type of smile. Plus, it made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. I might as well milk this for all it's worth if it makes Elijah smile. I considered the next set of words carefully, getting ready to sing out with all I was worth. A loud ruckus and muffled shouting voices came from the rear of the mall. Turning to see what the distraction is, I looked up to where two boys, presumably teenagers, were kicked out of a store. They were definitely making a scene, and the person who threw them out was not in any way happy with what they had possibly done. Scrutinizing and trying to see their faces, I became aware of the boy with the beanie. A moment of panic shot through me, and I realized who they were. I turned back to Elijah, who looked like he had been crying, but the tears had ceased. Single trickles had descended his nose, and he too became aware of who these boys were. Rising to our feet, without saying anything, both of us started to scurry. We need to go, I nervously said. Elijah didn't need to be told twice. The two of us brushed against each other as we made our way toward the restaurant to warn the boys. Come on, Elijah breathlessly added. Okay, so I'll take a second now. Get a sip of water. So How are you guys doing? You glad that Friday is here? Any plans? Any Christmas shopping or anything like that? We have a few bits to do tomorrow, but yeah, so I guess we'll be kept busy. So maybe by the time I finish this chapter, my boyfriend he will actually be a little bit less embarrassed. But yeah, though he's cute, he can't turn down sweets. But okay, let's moving on. Racing back to the boot, we found the boys deep in conversation. Lucas instantly saw us coming and shimmied in the boot toward the wall. Lucas motioned for Adam to follow suit. Elijah and I plopped down on the outer seating. Whatever the boys were talking about, it was cut short when Jack saw Elijah take his place across the table. Hey man, I'm really sorry, Jack said. It is evident that the two older boys could see that something was wrong. After all, the two of us came back in a bit of a panic and our faces suggested fear. Cutting Jack off before he spoke or anyone said anything else. Save it. Those older boys are here with us, I blubbered. From earlier? Lucas questioned. His soft, relaxed expression turned to shock. Lucas's face had become a little white from fright. The two smaller boys immediately glimpsed out the window into the mall. Yeah, Elijah mumbled. Elijah glanced up over me to see if the two boys had come through the door. For once, Lucas didn't want to wait for those two boys to come through the door and just smack the hell out of him. Therefore, Lucas stood up on the seat, resting his back against the backrest. If things were to happen, Lucas was going to slide out into the next boot to get out. The boys did come through the door, and everyone at the table stared them down. Their entrance was made abundantly clear. The moment they stepped foot through the door, they were noisy and precocious. Lucas took a gulp and slid back down like a snake into the seat behind him. Lucas scrunched up and slumped down and moaned, "Oh, fuck. Why did I throw that snowball?" Everybody's eyes followed the teenagers along the main entrance and all the way up to the counter. Deciding that all of us looking at the same time would be a clear indicator that we were looking at them, we decided to all turn our heads back in toward each other. Lucas, after all, would know if they were coming in our direction because he is in the corner directly facing them. His eyes would wander nervously from us to them as they stood at the counter. Knowing we would all like to see, I said smugly, we'd all love to know that. Guys, can we just get out of here? Elijah said. Elijah started to shake from nervousness. Elijah seemed to rattle when he's nervous, almost shivering. The density in the air completely changed since those teenagers came in. Looking from Elijah to Jack, then back to Lucas, and then to Jack, Jack asked with a hint of disbelief, "Are they that bad?" "You've no idea," Lucas sarcastically retorted. Lucas sat up from his sunken position in the corner of the boot and placed his hands on the table as if he was about to say something, but he drew back. This reminds me of Dungeons and Dragons for some weird reason. When I was younger, we used to play it sometimes, and we'd gather around the table like this, equally confident and nervous, but the power of the table always went to that one person who knew everything that was going to happen in the game, and that's the way Lucas sat. He didn't say anything. The two teenagers reached the cashier and began ordering. The moment their backs turned, we conjured up the idea of who should leave the table first. In doing so, Lucas grabbed Ben across the table and Adam beside him and pulled the two of them slightly up from their seats. The two of them actually had to stand. "Go outside," Lucas stated. Doing so, Elijah gently stepped out of the boot and Adam started for the door. Ben stood up on the seat, and then climbed over the backrest into the small stall and also vacated the premises. When both boys were gone, Elijah just sat back down for a minute as to not attract attention. Elijah was going to go for the door accordingly, but then the blonde-headed boy looked around. The kid with the kid with the green beanie glanced around the restaurant too. Feeling unsure and suddenly nervous, Elijah slid back into the seat. The blonde boy, didn't pay any attention to us. Thinking that the coast was clear, Elijah slid out of the boot again. I also began to get up. Then the blonde kid pivoted around again, and then I think something clicked. He immediately whispered something to his friend, and then the two were starting over at us. Right, I'm out of here, Lucas stammered, and clenching onto the backrest, Lucas shot up onto the table. And doing so, he leaped to the floor and started his way for the entrance. The table had trembled with the Tyrannosaurus on top of it and spilled some of the contents that had been on top of it to the floor. Nobody waited for any sort of signal. Everybody shot out of their seats, and we all sprang for the door in panic. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see the two chunky teenagers darting away from the counter. Heaviness pushed its way up from my stomach and into my ribs, and my heart began to palpitate. With both hands almost on the door, just a hand's reach away, I almost make it. Then the boy with the green beanie cut me off. Stumbling back, I started to turn to run, just anywhere to get away from him. I veered off to the right, down another aisle as I choked on my words. It wasn't me, I pleaded. The boy just chased after me and whirled around. As a result, I crashed hard into the table. So much so that my legs felt crushed with the boy's weight in front of me. And latching onto my jacket, he yanked me forward. Hard. The boy's face was smooth, cleanly shaven with some freckles. The teen's blue eyes peered back at mine with evil intent. If the kid wasn't a psycho, on the contrary, if the kid wasn't a psycho, he would be cute. So, the blonde boy chortled. There was a screaming sound ricocheting throughout the room, and the boy turned to see what the source of the deafening sound was, including me. On the far side of the room, Jack had been pinned down to the table where he had been sitting. I couldn't see Elijah or Lucas, and trembling, I wondered what was going to happen. I guess you could say I'm seconds away from wetting my pants, but I'd rather die before I piss myself. The two of them must have gotten out. Using the distraction from Jack, I shoved the beanie boy, and he plummeted to the ground. Nothing but a grunt could be heard from the older boy as he hit the deck with a plop from presumably his hands. Running at the boy who had my best friend pinned down on the table, I didn't hesitate. I just knew I needed to get him off Jack. Get off me, you fucking baboon, Jack demanded. Jack thrust both arms open and up toward the older boy to try and leverage himself up. Only the kid had incredible body strength. Jack's move and deception was useless. Drawing up his right hand and pinning Jack with his left, he aimed a punch high above his head, taking a second to align it with Jack's face. A second later, I plucked up a tray from the floor that Elijah's spaghetti had been on, and I cracked it across the top of the boy's shoulders. The boy automatically stumbled to the right and gave Jack a moment to free himself from his grip. Reaching out for Jack's hand, the two of us locked both of our fingers together, and I tore him from the table. The two of us darted for the door, not daring to look back. We ran to the main entrance of the mall, where the group partially waited, anticipating what to do next. In doing so, we ran towards them. They were all there except for Jack and me. The two older teens were hot on our trail, and the other boys began to scarper and run toward two separate automated doors. Elijah and Ben ran to the left door. Jack and Adam and Lucas all headed for the right. I don't know, but subconsciously we all just started to split up. I ran for the left door, and I stopped dead in my tracks as I reached the other two boys. The door didn't open. It appeared to be out of order or something. Glancing out through the panels of glass, the other boys had run out through the right door and out into the street. They immediately stopped for a moment and noticed that we couldn't get out. Twisting around, I saw the two boys just who had just what? Twisting around, I saw the two other boys who were just about to catch up with us. In doing so, I fumbled and forced Elijah and Ben to a well illuminated corridor which had a green emergency exit sign above it. Unsure of what to expect, all three of us sprinted down the corridor panting. Soon, we came to a small ramp and a tiny set of stairs, which curved naturally with the building. We appeared to be going higher. I think I've made a bad judgment call. I contemplated, but I don't exactly know where we are going, but we are going somewhere. And then we shot out through a glass door and out into a tarmac car park. We were in the multi-story car park. I croaked, "This way." I passed some cars. Not far from the door was a teal Subaru Foster. It reminded me of my dad's car. I wish he were around. Dad would save us, I assumed as I charged on. Starting up the ramp onto the next floor, I didn't dare look back, not even to see if a car was coming or to look for help. The bullies were behind us. We breathlessly ran up the steep incline to the next level. However, on this level, there were not many cars around. Panicking a whole lot more, I believed I had taken us off the path where people can see us and come to our rescue. Of all the days this would happen, it would have to happen on Christmas Eve, when nobody is in a rush to get home, when everyone is in a rush to get home to their families. Stopping for a second to catch our breath, we couldn't hear the two other boys after us. I took a moment to figure out what we needed to do. I looked around to observe surroundings, and I saw the emergency sign over the stairwell door. Everything about this place seemed bland and dark. I think this could be the worst place to get beat up because nobody will be able to come to your rescue. I skimmed around and noticed a car out of place. I mean, if you hid behind it, you wouldn't exactly see who was lurking back there. There is still a chance the older boys will race on by without stopping to look. Snuggled between a pillar and the car is a small dark spot where I dragged Ben from the middle of the road and tossed him into the small corner. Ben hit the concrete pillar a little harshly, but he got the message. He hunkered down and crawled into that little spot in front of the vehicle. Then a pattering of feet stretched up the ramp set my heart racing again. So I rotated and I ran for the exit sign, and so did Elijah. Yeah, I'm not sure about leaving my little cousin behind, although it seemed like the best thing to do. I just hope he's safe. I made the right call, right? We reached for the opening, and Elijah threw open the door, and we entered into a cold, damp concrete staircase. It was cheaply built, but I don't think we exactly cared about that. Not sure what to do because the stairs went up and down. I wasn't sure whether we were on the first or the ground floor. Elijah went down the dim and clueless stairs, and I followed suit. Between the panting and the adrenaline, we descended 2 flights of stairs before the door flew open above us somewhere, and then we could hear the shouting and the significant steps descending, chasing us. Catching sight of a window, I was about to go down the next flight of stairs after Elijah, only I stopped and peeped out the lattice. It appeared that we were only on the first floor, which felt a little weird considering when we were in the mall, we were on the ground floor. Except then again, I remembered this multi-story progressed down about 3 levels, and went up 4. I didn't really wait. I didn't exactly think about it, but I kicked out the lattice, which was slightly rusted, and the protective coating that stopped the snow from coming into the building dropped to the ground. Elijah, I called out. Switching back to where Elijah was, I remembered that I didn't tell him that I had stopped, and he had descended the whole flight of stairs. I panicked, climbing down. From the window, I got to yell down the staircase. I'm going to tell him I found a way out. A startled scream made my blood go cold, however. Elijah sounded like he was in trouble from the lower levels, and I wanted to help him. Only the boy with the snapback appeared on the landing area at the top of the stairwell. Doing what I thought is best, I sprung around and clambered out the porthole from panic and fear. I struggled out the window, looking down to see how high it was and how far the fall would be, and I let go. A second later, I crashed to the ground. My life flashed before my eyes. I fast enough. I smacked off a dumpster before rolling off out onto the snow. I forgot to bend my legs when I hit the dumpster, so my limbs caved in and the violent shudder clopped against my knees. A sharp and uncontrollable pain that I had never felt before in all my young existence shot through my body. I tried to stand, then I realized I had now a limp. I think I heard one of my knees crack, but stumbling backward, I found my way to my feet and glanced up at the window I had jumped out of. I didn't think it's broken, but it really hurted. A mix of emotions ran through my body: guilt, fear, regret, panic. Why did I leave Elijah? I don't know why I did that. I just didn't think. I just got out the window and jumped. A sharp pain shot up my knee, and I bent my left knee to favor the pain. Glancing up again, I hoped that Elijah had heard me, but then I remembered the boy that was at the top of the stairs, and somehow I hope that he got away. I'll wait for a moment. Elijah, I shouted up at the dark hole cut into the side of the building. A moment later, the boy with the green beanie popped his head out through a hole in the wall. He wasn't chasing me. Why is he there? Then again, maybe he cut Elijah off. The bullies worked and conspired against us, while the blond boy raced to the bottom from the top. His friend could close in on us. You get him back if you give us the fucker who threw the snowball, the boy with the beanie said. It was just a snowball, I groaned up at the boy. My knee really felt banged out of shape. For some weird reason, I can't straighten it out. It hurts too much to do that. Looking down, I examined my leg. No bone, I concluded, or blood, from what I can barely see. Snowball, another voice came. The snapback boy stuck his head out through the window. Now the two of them looked down at me. Bitterly, the snapback kid dragged himself back in. The boy with the beanie disappeared a second after. Then groans came with grunts of pain. They stuck Elijah's head out the window, clasping him by the hair. My heart sunk seeing him like that. They can't be hurting him now. I'll do anything. Okay, what do you want me to do? I pleaded to the porthole. Then they kept Elijah's head dangled out the window. Then a muffled voice came from somewhere behind Elijah's grunting and groaning. The blonde kid who threw the snowball, the one in the body warmer. A second later, silence came, and then the beanie kid stuck his head back out the window and shouted down, Trade at Miller's Crossing. Trade was the last thing that came to my mind. Why would they want to trade Lucas? Second of all, if they knew who they were supposed to be after, why did they come after all of us? Trade? I absently asked. They pulled Elijah back in through the window, and the boy with the black beanie popped his head back out the small opening. "A beat down," he smugly said. Um, I murmured, more from confusion than about what to do. "If you get any adults involved, I'll cut 'em," Beanie Boy shouted down. Hearing those words was enough to convince me that I can't get adults involved. If I ever stand a chance with Elijah, I have to rescue him. Then again, I don't think I can just hand over my cousin for a beatdown. Deciding to just agree to their terms and conditions for the moment until I have my head back on straight, I shouted up at the window, "Okay, Miller's Crossing." I think I said it more or less for them to hear. I think I said it more or less for them to hear it, and more or less an antidote to myself, like a reminder that this is really happening. I pleaded with myself not to forget anything they said. 1 hour, a murmured voice came from inside the confined walls. The boy with the beanie then took his head back in and disappeared, and nobody else stuck their heads out. I assumed that they were moving to the next place and that I should be heading on too, looking for the boys. Glancing up at the window, I said to myself, more to the memory of Elijah, "I'm sorry." Hobbling from the side of the parking lot, which held an assortment of recycling bins and general waste garbage, I made my way down the alley toward the street. I hope they don't hurt him, I thought. I'll never be able to forgive myself if anything happens to him. And with that, I turned out onto the street in search of the boys. Okay, so so I'll take a break. Another break. My voice has been somewhat strained over the last couple of days. The last day or two, because I've been doing all the talking. It's probably more talking than I've done in a long time, so there's that. But I probably won't do, a whole chapter, another chapter now. Because I think it starts getting a bit more lengthy here, and we're approaching the hour mark, so I don't want to keep people too long. So I think we'll call it with those two chapters. I hope you guys have been enjoying this. I probably won't stay much longer unless you have any questions or whatnot. But yeah, tonight probably will be a little bit more on the shorter side. It's probably the shortest live stream. Sorry, I have hiccups. Yeah, but anyway, so this will probably be more on the shorter side. I'll update all the links and stuff, as you know, later on. So make sure that you check those links out. But yeah, if you haven't caught it at the start of the video, the competition for Chasing Christmas, where I'm giving away the 3 books, has officially closed. So I'm sorry if you didn't make that. And I'm sorry to all the folks who, were hoping for a book as well. But there will be other ones. These are first editions. So these were the very first copies that I had of Chasing Christmas. I'll be eventually going on to a second edition. So these are the last of them. I think I ordered about 40 of them, and these are the last ones, except for my own. But yeah, I hope whoever gets them enjoy them. But yeah, so that's that. But apart from that, there will be other stories and other giveaways for folks to partake in. I'm still working on a few details. There will most likely be another giveaway for when I'm releasing As They Say. I won't share what I'll be giving away with that. But I'm also looking into other little bits and bobs that I can kind of give away with some of my, my books. And my boyfriend has been talking about stickers. Considering I have Photoshop knowledge and that and everything, I don't know why I've never actually thought of giving away stickers, but I might try make a couple of stickers of some of the book covers and whatnot, and throw them in as like with part of the freebie, the gift giving or whatever you want to call it. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna think of some other ideas for some other merchandise. But yeah, so that's probably about it. Of course, make sure you're on my mailing list and signed up to keep getting updates. And there'll be a Christmas story coming to folks who are exclusively on my mailing list. But yeah, I don't think I have really much else to say. I just hope you guys have a nice evening, and yeah, wherever you are in the world, I hope you didn't have a terrible week. I hope you had a good week overall. But yeah, so that's probably about it. I'm gonna cut it short here, guys. So I'll hope to see you all again tomorrow at 10 o'clock, Irish Standard Time or GMT, whichever you want to call it. But yeah, I hope you have a nice evening and good night. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye bye.